because I think a lot of you are trying to use service tickets for punch list, and I want to talk about why, or when you should use service tickets and when you shouldn't, and when you should actually use orders on a project. So basically, the way we look at service in eManage is if you have a separate service department or you use service agreements. You have service contracts with your customers where they pay for maintenance and you go out and do stuff for them on that maintenance contract. That's really the only time you should be using service tickets. If you're using service tickets for punch list on a project, that cost does not go against the order. And if you're like most companies, then your commissions are based off of the profit of the job, and so those costs don't end up going against the cost of the job, and then therefore do not go against commissions. So what we're going to talk about today is how to do punch lists using orders as opposed to using service tickets. We made a recent change to the today and the current backlog so that your zero orders will show up on your backlog and also show up on your to-be schedules. Okay, so if you create an order that has no line items on it because you just want to be able to install it, then you can create a new order, just give it an order book date of whenever the punch list is, and it'll show up on your current backlog until it's completed. So I'm just going to go in there really quick and show you the backlog and talk about that for a second. So anything that is zero sale price, and that zero sale price can be from either everything being zero, all the line items being 100% customer discount, or by having no items on it. Okay, so no items or everything on there being 100% customer discount and being zero price to the customer is going to show up on your current backlog. Okay, they stay on the zero price items will stay on your backlog until, because you don't invoice for zero, you can't do that. Okay, so your items will stay on here that are zero price until you complete the order. So inside of the current backlog here, I'm just going to go to my field chooser, and we're going to look for completed on. Okay, and I should have a completed in here. Somebody rename it. Oh, order completed. Okay, so you're going to have, where? Oh, order complete. Okay, so order complete and completed on. Okay, so all of your zero sale price orders are going to stay on until the order complete is 1, or we can turn this into a checkbox here. And I'm just going to show you, I'm going to change this into a checkbox, and I'm going to make it an editable field. Okay, so if you're not familiar with how to use editable fields, it's in our help manual under the overview. But I'm going to go in here and make this an editable field in here. Okay, and if the new people that came on, if you can just mute your phones unless you have a question, and then unmute just for the question, because we'll get feedback if you don't. Order complete. Okay, and the call of the database table is project order entry. Okay, so when we made this change, a bunch of you probably had a bunch of orders show up on your backlog that were old. Okay, so the way you're going to get rid of them is you're going to make the order complete checkbox editable, and then you're just going to check off order complete. Now you'll notice this order is still here, even though it's got an order complete on it. That's because any order that has value to it will stay on there until it's 100% invoiced. Only the orders that are zero come off when you complete the order. Okay. So if you've got a bunch of orders on your backlog that don't belong there and are zero sale price, you're going to make this an editable field, and you're going to check these off. And when you rerun that, your zero orders that you completed will be gone. Okay, the other way to complete those orders is to just go in and right-click, go to Module, and go to Order Entry, and you can complete the order inside of the grid here, complete. Okay, So again, only zero price orders will come off of the backlog when you hit complete. Okay, if it's got value to it, it will stay on there until it is 100% invoiced. So, Chris, are you on the phone? Chris, can you unmute?
Here.
Okay.
I'm here.
I want to use you guys as an example of. I know you guys do a lot of punch lists. So I want you to just explain to me how you guys handle, or what is a punch list for you? What does it entail, and how you guys handle it?
Well, it's basically a service ticket, but moving it from service tickets over to order entry will enable it to be on the backlog. So
right, but what kind of punch lists do you guys have? What happens when
most of them are redelivery. It's furniture that was not shipped on the initial order from the manufacturer, so we have to do a second delivery. It could be
and do you charge for that second delivery?
Replacement casters. Just replacing an item, fixing a drawer, bringing out extra keys that someone might want. Just basically anything that's outside of the initial order and what was on that order.
Do you ever do anything that's just labor to go out and fix something that maybe you broke?
95% of the time it is.
Just labor? And you're not ordering anything from your vendor?
Right.
Okay. And you were handling that through service tickets, right?
Right.
But do you see how, here's why I wanted to have this meeting, because what happens is that going out and doing that actually has a cost to it, right? Even if there's no sell. So you really do have some labor cost, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when you have stuff like that that are not actually hitting any commission, okay, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is we want to run those things through orders. And also, you guys know, if you've used Service at all, you know you have a separate calendar for Service calendar. Okay, so now you've got, if you use Service, when you're not doing actually service agreements, you're going and looking in two different calendars to do those things, and there's really no need. And in fact, you don't even have any action items either on service tickets. So if you want action items, you want to be able to look at one calendar, and you're not doing service agreements, or you need the cost of doing that punch list against the project, you need to do it on the project. So I've created just a project here, training for punch list, and I created my order here, my base order. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's say I had to reorder a part, and I need to go and redeliver it like Chris said. So I'm actually going to let me just go and make a new option here. And I'm just going to call that punch list. Okay, and I'm going to add a part onto there. I'm just going to add anything here. I don't have that part anymore. HN1. Now let me do. Okay, so I'm just going to put a license on there. Okay, so if I need to order something and process it through, for a punch list, if I'm not going to charge my customer, I need to be on discount from list, and I'm going to give it a 100% customer discount. Okay, that's going to keep my cost. Okay, because it is a cost to me. Okay, and it's going to give the customer a zero sale price. Okay, so then I'm going to go over to my Create Modify View Quotes. It's going to create the quote for me, and the quote name becomes the option name. So if I name the option name punch list, my quote name is going to be punch list. Now, I don't need to print this quote. I just have to have the quote for when I go to order entry. Okay, so then I'm going to go over to my customer orders. Okay, my order entry. And I'm going to make a new order, and I'm going to call this punch list. Oops. Yeah. Okay, I still need to fill this stuff out, even though I'm not going to bill for it or anything like that. I still need to fill this out, and I still need to give it an order book date in order for it to show up on my to-be schedules.
And Philip, I just wanted to interject. You can use one of these fields here, the order type. I suggest in the administrator you go make an order type of punch list, and that way when you're looking at your backlog, it's very easy to see the punch list or service orders versus your normal orders.
Right, and actually Chris asked for the order type to be added to the to be scheduled, and we did that. So if you look in your to be scheduled in the calendar, order type is now, was it order type? It was, right? Order type is now available there, so you can see all your punch list items there. Another reason for doing an order like this, as opposed to doing a service ticket, is that you, sorry, forgot to click that first, is that you also see all of your punch lists in one place. No, you never want a customer to call you and say you forgot something. It's in your backlog until you remove it physically if it's a zero price. Also, it's going to be on your to be scheduled, so it's going to be there until somebody schedules it. Okay, you never want that customer to call you and say, hey, you forgot about this. This is a way to keep it in front because you're all looking at the current backlog all the time. Okay, so obviously I don't do this every day, huh? Okay, so now at this point, I can either process, that BOM with the zero cost or zero price to the customer item on it, or I can leave this blank. Okay, I'm going to actually set my quote to my punch list. Okay, so if I just leave this at 0 with no line items, that's fine. I can do that. And then when I go to my backlog, I'm going to see that punch list order there. Oops. Okay, there's my order. So you see, even with 0 sale price, it's going to show up here. The 0 sale pricing, stay on until you do the order complete. Okay. And again, this other order, this original order, will stay there until I invoice it fully. So don't think that order complete is going to remove anything that has a sale price. That's not 100% invoice. It won't do that. Okay, so if I want to process this, I'll go ahead and process this. Okay, and my price is going to be 0 still, but now I have an item on my order if I want it there. Okay, if I need to create purchase orders for this because I've got to order product to make this thing happen, okay, this is where I wanted to talk to you guys about the cost of this. Okay, so you go to create purchase orders. You're going to go to your punch list, okay, and you're going to create the purchase order. Okay, so now I have my purchase order right here. The thing is, what you have to remember is that the punch list, you see this punch list for order punch list right here. That punch list has 0 sale price, and our commissions are paid off of profit from the things that we have sale price on. So what you want to do after you create your punch list purchase order in order to get the cost for commissions is you'll need to change this for order to the original order. Okay? Otherwise, because you're never going to pay commission on a punch list item because it would be negative profit. What you want to do is you want to change that for order to original order, so that cost then goes against the order that has value to it. Okay, every expense should have income to it so that you can figure out the profit, and it would go against the commission if it's commissionable. Okay, so when you do that, Stefan and I were talking about this the other day, and that the only way, if you change the order to know that this purchase order is a punch list, is really to change the purchase order number. And you can do that pretty easily. I'm going to do another editable field here. So I'm going to click on the red button here inside of the PO grid, and I'm going to make my purchase order number editable. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and I'm going to do PO number. Maybe. Let's see what it's called here.
While Philip's doing this, I just wanted to make one other comment that makes this very easy to use is for your salespeople. It's much more easy to look up for them, and as he continues, he'll show you where you can put your notes that you currently now put in service tickets. So the salespeople can go in and look at their punch list or their repairs that their customers are calling them on.
I can't find this. That's crazy. Oh, it is already editable. That's why. Okay. So you guys know how to make editable fields, configure editable fields. You'll do the PO number, okay? And it's the project purchase orders table. And then you can go right in here to the PO number and just put PL at the end of that, okay? Just for your own reference that you know that that purchase order is for punch list. And just so you know, this, you can always change this number on any purchase order. So if you, let's say you guys make a bunch of purchase orders and then you delete them and then you recreate, you know how it keeps going in sequence. So it'll never reuse the same number. But if you need it to reuse the same number, you can go right in there and you can change that number to what it was before. Okay, so just so you know, you can make that an editable field. The system doesn't care if you do it. And that way, instead of deleting and using whole new numbers, you can use the same numbers that you had before if it's something minor. Okay, but the most important thing about this is this for order. Okay, the for order has to go to the order that has sale to it that you're already going to be paying or have already paid commission on. That's the only way that the commissionable cost is going to go against that job. Okay, does that make sense? Anybody?
We're all muted.
So the other thing I was gonna talk about is, Chris, sometimes you bill back the vendor, right? When you because it's their mistake, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys, the thing about doing an order onto this, if you are, let's say you are going to bill the vendor for that. Okay, if you make that quote inside of your project and you don't give it 100% customer discount, right, you can change your bill to on this to be your vendor, and then you can bill your vendor for that. I know, Chris, your uncle bills stuff out, right, to try and get that money back on the service, right?
Right.
Okay, so this is the best way that you can do it. Okay, is by billing your vendor. You've got your cost against it. It's going to be in to be scheduled. So now if I go into to be scheduled here in my implementation calendar, I'm going to see this punch list order here. Okay, and this is exactly why Chris wanted that order type in there. Okay, because you see there's nothing. Oh, well, there's the order name. So if you don't want to name your order punch list and you use the order type, it is a new field in here. Order type. I did put that in there, Chris, didn't I?
I don't think so.
Okay, let me make myself a little note for that.
Hey, Philip?
Yep.
Can you show me once more how to make an editable field in that backlog for order complete?
Sure. Let me go and delete it. Delete the editable field, and then I'll redo it. You might also want to make. Actually, I'll just do it with the. Yeah, I'll do both. You might want to do the order completed on as well, because you should also have that filled out as well. Let me just close these, and I'll go back and start from scratch. So either the simple or the full. Okay, you click the little red button, and then you get your toolbar here. You're going to go to Grid Functions, and you're going to go to Configure Editable Fields. You have to have the right to configure editable fields because that's a pretty powerful tool. So a lot of people won't have that right. If it's grayed out, you don't have the right, you'll have to talk to somebody who does have it. So configure editable fields. And remember, this is any field. I'm just using this order type as an example, but you can make any field in a grid editable. Okay, so I'm going to put in here order complete. Okay, the table name, and remember, if you're doing an editable field and you may not know the table name, so you either call in or email, and we'll give you the table name. But we do things really simple. It's order, okay? It's order complete, so it would be in order. And if you you start typing this, it's going to filter your list. So if we look here, there's project order entry right here. Okay, but I don't expect you to know those tables. There's over 700 tables in the database. So it will automatically put the identity column for that table in there, so you don't have to worry about that. If you want to attach it to an application, right, you can. So if I don't want everybody to make the order complete that can see the backlog, I can put in can book order or book orders. Okay, book orders is the right I can assign that to, so that not everybody can use that. Not everybody can mark that order as complete. Because remember, your salespeople can see their backlog, right? So if you don't assign it to a right, then they'll be able to mark the thing as complete, and then there's no control over it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. Yeah.
Hello, Phil.
Yep.
This is Keith at Allfix.
Hey, Keith.
Hi. Under order type, what's the database table under?
Order type is project order entry. Same thing.
Okay.
Okay. Really, anything that's on the order entry screen is going to be project order entry as the database table. So if you look at what window you're looking at, right? So if I'm in here, order entry, project order entry. We try to really simplify things so that you could, make a really good guess, right? If I'm doing a editable field in contacts, in a contact, that database table is contacts. If I'm doing companies, right? It's companies. So projects is projects. So you can tell by what window you're on in here. Project information, pretty much everything's on there. Anything on there is going to be projects. So we try to make it really simple. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add this. I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to add another editable field for the completed on. Okay. Completed on. Okay, and I'm going to make that, again, project order entry. Okay, and it pulls up my identity column. I'm going to also assign this to book orders so that not everybody can put that in, and I'm going to save it. Okay. Now, when I first started this process, the order complete, you see that this is not a checkbox. Okay, so I'm going to right-click on the column header, and I'm going to go to data type formatting, and I'm going to go to display style and turn it into a checkbox. That's the way it's easier to use that way. Okay, and then I'm going to save my layout. Okay, and then I can go in here and I can just check off my order complete. You see that this bottom thing here is my punch list, right? So this line 6 is my punch list order. The only way that that is going to come off, because it is 0 sale price, because you can't invoice for 0, it won't let you. It doesn't know how to, right? There's no invoice when it's 0. So the only way to get it off of there is to check the order complete. Okay, and again, now this is an editable field too. So I can say completed on the 27th and order complete. Okay, so when I go back into my backlog, now that order is going to be gone. Okay, now you see I just have my main order that still has value to invoice. Okay, so Chris, you had, when we rolled this out, you had a bunch of old zero price orders on there, right?
We did, and I just want to add that you can, that checkbox is in the order entry screen where we just were, so you can do it there as well.
Right. So what she's talking about, is right in here, right? The order complete, right here. You should be checking this box anyway, regardless of if it's punch list or whatever. You should know when you're completed, that it's complete, and when it was completed on. We are going to be adding that into the analysis so that you can say order complete, okay, instead of just invoice date, final invoice date, okay? Because right now in the analysis, you can only look by order book date and final invoice date. Okay, so we're going to be adding this complete and completed on in there. Okay, so again, if this had value to it and you needed to invoice your vendor for the expense of fixing their mistake, you can just go into this order, change the bill to, and you can actually invoice your vendor, right, it won't change the project. It just changes that you're billing this one order to your vendor to get that money back. Okay? Any questions about that?
Phil?
Yep.
It's Keith again.
Hey, Keith.
On the order entry, if we, we're buying the part from our vendor, but not paying for it. We
Right.
issue them a purchase order, but then we're recharging them for the labor.
So you're
and
recharging the
delivery.
customer or the vendor?
The vendor.
Okay. So again, I would process that. I would give 100% customer discount on the part, right? Because they're not going. Are they going to pay you for the part, or they're just not going to even charge you for the part?
And that's not going to charge us. They send us in it. We send them. They send us a acknowledgement with the part on there at no charge.
Right. So what I would do is on my when I create the bill of materials for that, because you should create a bill of materials in order to order the product, right? You should
Right. So we're going to have a labor charge.
add a labor line on there, right? So what you do is your part that you order from your vendor would be 100% customer discount and 100% manufacturer's discount, right?
Right.
Okay. So that because they're not going to charge you for it. And then your labor lines would just be regular labor lines, and you would process that order on here. Now, remember, because that order has value to it, okay, it's going to stay on your backlog until you invoice for it. Okay?
Right.
That complete will not take it off. Anything that
Right.
has
We have to
a
invoice.
That's
We have
right.
to invoice the vendor so we can get paid.
That's correct. Okay?
Okay.
So now what you have to think about is, are you going to pay commission on that or not?
No.
Okay. So if you're not, then that step that I went through when I created the purchase orders, changing that cost to the other order, the one that has value to it, you just would skip that step. Okay.
Yeah, so basically, it's not going to affect, the cost won't affect the
commission.
the commission,
Right.
or the income from that labor.
Because you're just going to ignore it when it comes to commissions. It's just it's another part of the order that doesn't get commissions.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
But
So that would
if
be-
it's a cost only and it is part of the commissions, then you're going to want to change the order that that the purchase order is assigned to the one that has value to it.
okay. Or else that if it's not going to affect the commissions, just we'll leave it as a punch list.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. This is obviously going to be a short meeting, but I want to just open it up for any questions for you guys. Anybody?
Hey, Philip, this is Gina with ABF. We've got a couple of questions.
Sure.
Adrian, what's your question?
Hi there, Philip. This is Adrian. I do most of the scheduling and do the punch and all that good stuff. But my concern on the punch order, if it's done in this matter with another order, is there a spot to put the notes to the tech on a printed out document when we print out the order for the actions of the
Actually, when you schedule the item, okay, let me just throw this on here real quick. There's this general instruction thing here, and you can type whatever you want. You see this?
Okay, now say that again.
So
general instructions right here.
Now, so will that come on the delivery ticket that we give the installer?
Yeah, so it's on the work order. Let me just fill this out and do that. And again, when you use the builder, you can make things big, red, bold, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I'm just going to use this one that's already here. Okay. Oops. Use checked items. Okay. So whatever I have in here, that's what's going to show up on the work order. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And if I want to assign some people, go ahead and do that. And again, you might want to make an implementation type of punch list. It's up to you, right, if you want to have that. But let's just go ahead and fill that out. And I'm going to go ahead and print that work order. And you guys have all seen this work order options, right? You can choose what's printed on the work order. Special instructions will show up no matter what. Okay, so let me go ahead and print that work order. Yeah?
It's Stephanie with Turnkey. Hey,
Hi,
just
Stephanie.
to clarify, those general instructions on to print on the work order, that can only be done if you have the right to schedule, correct?
Yes, you have to be able to get to the item, get to
Right.
the right. You can only do it there. However, there is another way to get notes onto the work order, and that's by adding a note to the project. That's an installation note. So I'm just going to do that real quick. So I'm going to add a note to the project. Okay. So when I add a note to the project, please fix the hole in the wall you made.
Hey, Philip, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
This is Scott with POI. The only thing is about that note is that note shows up on all work orders that are printed on that project.
Yes, but generally punch lists are going to be done at the end of the job, correct?
That would be true, except that if you have multiple punch lists, which in many cases we do, they're going to always be there unless someone remembers to go in and switch the status from installation to not current. Is there another way? If you don't have the authority to get into the implementation calendar and schedule it, then our salespeople can't put those notes in there. So the only option for them is to send them a action item with those same notes in it and have Carlos do it.
Right. Well, right. I think we talked to you guys about doing in your action item, do a punch list action item.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then you could just copy those notes into the special instructions. I'm going to go ahead and print this work order now real quick so you guys can see that. Okay, so here's the here's the instructions. That would be like what you have right now for Note to Tech or that thing. And then you see your notes are here, and your notes are in date order. So I mean, it does show the create date there, so you can see what's supposed to be looked at now. Okay, does that answer your question?
So
I have a question.
It does. That can be done at the time of the order entry when we're actually ordering the product, so that no one else has to go in there and reapply the same thing. So when they have that punch list in front of them, they can apply the notes at the time of order entry, and then when we go to print out the ticket, it's already on there.
That's right. As long as it's an installation note. Right? Okay. As long as the type of note is installation, it's going to show right on there.
Hi, Philip. I have a question on what is our flag to add a punch cost to a commission, since it's not going to be actually invoiced or anything?
Well, if it's a cost to you, you're going to get an invoice from your vendor, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? You're going to get an invoice.
Yeah.
So that if you switch the order here, that's what I was talking about. If you switch this order right after you create the purchase orders, right? After you create your punch list orders, if you do this at the same time, you don't even have to think about it, because you're going to get a bill from somebody against this purchase order, and it's going to go against the commissions already.
Okay, what if I've already processed commissions based on the original order?
Then you go back.
Later, I've got this.
Then you would need to go back. It'll generate a negative commission for you based on what you've already paid and costs coming in. So you would go back into commissions and double-click on your salesperson.
So it'll base it only on the punch cost?
Well, it'll take the difference of what you already paid and what you should have paid, and issue.
Oh, it will. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's why.
So I don't delete the original commission amount. I just do this on the punch, and it'll give me a negative, and then it calculates the difference of what I've already paid.
It says here's what you are. The computer says, okay, here's what you've already paid. Now with this new cost, the profit went down, so the commission should have been this amount. So it's going to generate whatever the difference is as the commission.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Okay.
All right.
So, but that's what I was saying. You're only going to pay commission on the order that has value. So that cost here needs to go to the order that has value, right? Because if you're not going to charge your customer and you're not going to charge your vendor, then it's just a cost to you, right? If
when I'm entering that payable on that punch, I'm not necessarily knowing that I've already done commissions on it. So what's my flag to know I need to process commissions?
Well, what I would do is before you hit that order complete is check the commissions. I mean, there's no flag to do that. If you want to, you can make an action item called check commissions, or you can go right into commissions. I
think that's what has to happen is once you create that punch order, an action item needs to be submitted to do commission, what do you call it?
Remember the list of action items, I mean, they sit there until they're done. So if you go in there and you haven't gotten a bill from your vendor yet or whatever, then you just leave it sitting there. And it's your queue of things to do, right? It's not necessarily that they have to be done right now. It's that it's your list so you don't forget things. So yeah, when the punch is created, I would definitely do some sort of action item to check the commissions on that. No, regardless, it's a good idea because you guys got to remember if costs come in after. Anytime a cost comes in and you've already billed or already paid commissions or anything, you should go back there because it will generate a negative or a positive. Okay, depending on the case. Also, if you guys go into view modified purchase orders and you see that thing that says you have 3 orphaned or 3 purchase orders without orders attached, that also is going to be an issue for your commissions. Okay, if you have purchase orders without an order attached, that cost of those purchase orders is going to go nowhere, right? Because every expense has to have an income offset, right, in order to show up for commissions. Does that make sense? That's what this is right here. You can literally go through every purchase order and change what order it's on. But if you delete an order after the fact of creating purchase orders, you're going to have some orphans, right? So that's why we warn you when you delete orders or you move items to a new order, it warns you and it says, hey, if you've already created purchase orders, you need to go update the order or the order on those purchase orders. So.
Hey, Phil, I got another question about if you have some open service tickets right now, would we be better off closing them and creating a punch list order?
It depends on if the cost is commissionable. This is what's the whole point of doing this, is that I want to make sure that because those service ticket costs are never going to go on to commissions in a project. You see what I'm saying? So if those service tickets are commissionable, okay, their cost and they're going to go against the commissions, then I would definitely move them into orders. Right? That's the whole point, because if not, you're overpaying in commissions.
Of course. Okay.
And you don't want that to happen. You don't want people getting used to that.
The only problem on the service tickets is you weren't able to acknowledge a purchase order.
I'm not sure what you mean.
On a service ticket, you can create a purchase order.
There's no acknowledgments. Right. Well, like I said, and you guys don't have a separate service department. You don't have a person or people that just do service. Right? No. So there's no reason for you guys to be using service tickets for anything. Right? No matter what, you should either be creating a quick quote for if you want to go out and do service and you're not, and it's not part of an existing project, you should be doing a quick quote. Because you don't have a separate service department. You're looking at 2 different calendars for the same people, and that doesn't make any sense, right? You're also looking in 2 different places over on the Today screen. You're looking at open project or open service tickets and your current backlog. Whereas if you handle it all through projects, you're only looking in the current backlog. And you have all the things available to the project that, that aren't on service tickets, like action items and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't have a separate service department, you guys, don't use service tickets unless you guys, like McMurray Stern, I think Jen's on the phone here, you guys do service agreements. the only way to get cost on service agreements is to use service tickets, okay? So there's a big difference there. If you don't use service agreements, meaning that you charge your customer for maintenance, and then you don't have a separate service department, you should use projects for all of your service. If it's part of an existing project, do a punch list order. If it's not, do a quick quote. So you're just going to go here, you'll look up the company. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick quote here really quick for service. I'm going to grab this, I'm going to add a quick quote, create a quick quote here, and I can put all of my items on here and just call it service. Okay, I can make a project type called service. Okay, and I can make a quick quote, have it process all the way through, and I've got it on my projects instead of trying to handle two different areas of eManage when I don't have to. Right? Okay, so if I want to create the order, I can do that here. If I got a customer PO, I've got that here, and I can add whatever parts on here. I can use auto part templates if I have stuff for that. It's the only thing I know I have in here. Let's grab that and process. Okay, it takes me all the way to purchase orders. I can create my purchase orders right there. Now I've got a brand new order for service that's going to immediately show up on my to-be schedules. Okay, so I can go here. I'm going to do default and generate. Okay, now this project number 919 is now going to be in my to-be scheduled. Okay, so 919 is now right here, service. Okay, there's no reason for you guys to use a service unless you do service agreements or you have a separate service department. Okay, you miss out. The service tickets are meant to add cost to service agreements, or if you have a completely separate service department that you're going to be scheduling. Okay, any other questions? Anybody? Bueller? Do we have anybody left on here?
Philip, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi, it's Stephanie from Pacific Office Interiors.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I just wanted to add for like anybody that's attaching documents that correspond with the punch lists that are being added, to make sure that the documents have the same name as the option, the order name, so that everything stays consistent. Because when you look in documents, let's say you have, you know, 2 different vendor quotes, if the one isn't named appropriately for that punch list, whoever's placing the order is going to have a hard time figuring out which documents belong to which order.
Right, and you know what? Like I did with that, that purchase order, how I named it -PL, right? You could put -PL on the end of your documents that have to do with the punch list.
Right.
You could even do that. You could also make a note type if you wanted. You were talking about the Scott. I think you were talking about the installation notes. You could do a note type of installation -PL and set that to show up on your work order, and then you'll know which notes were about the punch list.
Yeah, I typically, because I've had jobs that have had up to 6 punch lists already. Sure. I just do PL number 1, PL number 2, and then all my supporting documents I title the same exact way.
Right.
So that, and then if I have to submit an action item to Carlos, I title those the same exact way so he knows which order entry they belong to.
Right.
Right, and on the same token with that, when you're creating an action item for an order to be placed, so let's say whoever puts in the items into the BOM and the order's ready to be placed, when that action item gets sent that says place this order, it doesn't reference which order they want you to place. So in the notes of that action item, you have to put please place punch list number 1. Or
right.
Please place punch list number 2.
And the reason why we can't and don't do that is because then we couldn't do any action items before there was an order. So, but what I would do if I were you is you guys use the completion or the prerequisites. Do you guys use those?
No, I'm just telling you that's what our process is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When the salesperson sends order management and action item to place an order, they put in the note, please place punch list number 1.
Are they
so that when we
about
open
that?
up the job,
we
know which one they want us to place.
Are they good at it?
Yeah. Otherwise, we kick it back and we say, I don't know what order you want me to place.
Right. What you could do, though, is you can put a prerequisite in that says supply order name to process.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then it's a checklist that they have to check off.
Right.
It's just a way to, I mean, if that wasn't working for you, if they were not consistent about it, or you were ending up kicking things back all the time, if you make a prerequisite for that, then they have to check it off, so they have to think about it. The prerequisites are a way for you guys to convey to your salespeople or whoever is submitting action items what you need before you can do that. And they literally have to check them off before they can submit it. So it just makes them think about what they needed. Have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done that? It's kind of like a job description. Mm-hmm. And listen, on the if you guys create an action item for creating punch list purchase orders, one of the completion tasks can be to change the PO number to -PO, right? And they have to check off the completion task in order to be able to complete the action item. So it's the opposite side of the equation for accountability, to make sure that people know exactly what you want done before they can complete it.
Mm-hmm. And changing the for order on the PO as well.
Yeah, and the for order, that's right. Those can all be completion tasks. If you guys haven't seen that, it's really, well, it's not simple, but it's, I'll show you where to do that right now, the completion tasks and the prerequisites. So just log in here real quick. Okay, so on the project action items, you can say create punch list or purchase orders. Okay, and we're going to open this window, create purchase orders. Okay, and then we'll assign it to customer service, and we'll make it available to other. And then when you click on the project type, that's when you get the prerequisites. Okay, so then you just add the prerequisites and the completion tasks that you want to be for this action item, for this project type.
And where do we add those?
The prerequisites and completion tasks are in your drop-down list. So when you go here to, let me just go here, drop-down lists, it's the first 2 drop-down lists here. Okay, so if I say change order on purchase order on PO to main order. Okay, when I add that, that's going to be available over here. Okay, and it'll be change order. You see now it's one of my completion tasks that I can pop over there. Okay, you guys all see that? Okay, same as prerequisites, add them right here. Okay, supply order name. Okay, then I'm going to go back here and refresh that. And you'll see now supply main order name I can make as a prerequisite. Okay, just remember that prerequisites and completion tasks are so that you don't have to constantly tell people to do stuff. You don't have to constantly reject action items. You're giving them the list of things that you have to have before. It's a checklist. You guys have all had checklists on forms before. Before you did things electronically, that's kind of like the same thing. You're just giving people a checklist of things that have to be done. Okay, any other questions or comments? Stephanie, you guys haven't been using service tickets, right? You've been doing everything through projects? Oh, gone.
That's accurate.
Okay.
We don't use them.
Right. And it makes sense for you, right? Not to have two separate calendars and two separate places to look and two separate billings. And
For sure.
okay. All right, cool. But did you know about changing the order on the purchase orders when you do that, so that goes against commissions?
Well, the ones that I deal with aren't that critical because none of them deal with commissions.
Okay.
But I may start doing that now that I know about it.
Right, because also go ahead.
I'll make sure that they all move up to the original order anyway. Yeah.
Right, because if they're cost anyway, then you'll want all that cost against that order. For sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Because, like I said, otherwise there's going to be negative profit, which isn't really true. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really such thing as negative profit.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be the one. Well, no, actually everyone will, but most all the projects I work on are warranty and service related. Mm-hmm. So I definitely am going to start doing that.
Yeah, and if you're doing warranty, are you actually billing the vendor?
I'm billing the vendor on everything, but what I've been doing is there's the PO. There's a PO for the initial evaluation, and there's another PO for a follow-up punch list, and another PO for all these follow-up punch lists. I have not been rolling them up, but I'm going to.
Okay, cool. So. All right. Anybody else?
All right. I have just one thing. I know you're going to say no because you've already said it, but I have to ask again. On the order entry level, there's no way to put notes on the order entry level that'll move to the install work order so that you could have your punch list notes specific to the order entry that would migrate over to the implementation calendar.
Well, my only thing about that is that it's one more place to put stuff. And I don't know exactly where I would put it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, plus where would it go onto the installation item? You know what I mean? Then I'm just not sure. There's no way to think that through at this point. I have to think it all the way through because if it's a, then I would actually have to require it. You know what I mean? Because it would be a new thing on the installation item.
Okay. Now the prerequisite thing, so we could set it up where if you're creating an action item, there is a prerequisite that requires you to tell customer service or order entry or whatever we call ourselves, which order specific it goes to. That same prerequisite could be required when a action item is being sent to dispatch for install purposes as well, correct?
Yeah, it's so that you give the person submitting a checklist of things that you want to have done before they submit. Because if you don't have everything, you got to reject it. And rejecting costs you guys time and money and your customer
aggravation.
Yeah. You don't, and basically the bottom line is your customer's waiting for something that they shouldn't be.
Yep.
So yeah, the prerequisites are a checklist. It's like having your handbook in front of you of what you need to do when in certain situations.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Philip. Bye.
Cool, no problem. All right. Anybody else?
Is there, Bill?
Yep, I hear you.
Yeah. Is there any way that when you're paying a commission that you can log in like draw type information into the system so that it sort of balances out on a monthly basis?
We have done that before. I'll have to check on it. We did come up with a way to do that. I'll tell you what, I'll check into that and I'll give you a call offline and let you know what we did. Because I know that we did do a draw and then the commissions came off of that draw. And you have monthly draws, is that what you have?
Yeah, ideally that's what we want to implement. I also want to implement a way to, I guess we need to enter it job by job unless, you've been able to do something about that.
I think what we did.
The custom business against commissions. I guess we need to, the issue that we're having with that is that when we put that line item, as you had suggested, when the salespeople are doing or preparing quotes, it skews off the actual gross profit margin on the top line. So they really don't know at what margins they're selling if we are throwing in the cost of doing business into the cost of the job
what I actually
prior to them sending the quote out. Do you understand what the problem is?
Yeah, what I actually did for you guys, what I actually did, and I think it would work for you guys, is this journal cost. Okay. So if you you see how you can do it against an order? You can actually go in here and you can put and you can have a journal category of CDB, cost of doing business, right? And you can put it against a job for any amount. You can say it's, and I mean, I can't really put a percentage in there because it wouldn't know what percentage to go off of. But if you put $100 in there and it's commissionable cost, you save that, and then it's just a cost. It's a cost against the job and commissions.
Right, and there's no way you can do a percentage on the revenue, right?
I can't do a commission. I can't do a percentage because most people wouldn't be doing a commission off of the profit, right? Or I wouldn't know where to get the percent off of. It's off of cost. It's off of sale. It's off of. That's too
right.
specific.
The percentage would be from the top line.
Well, I understand for you it would be, but in this window, right? There's no way to do that. But you can put a dollar amount in here, right here.
Yeah, but if we put a dollar amount, the problem is that we need to calculate it manually and then enter the number. No, Keith?
Unless you let the system calculate it, put it in there, and then delete it.
Okay.
Well, I'll think about that. I'll think about that, but there's not really a way to do a percentage in here because I wouldn't know what to base it off of. You know what I mean?
How would someone view the additional costs like this?
The costs, the additional costs, these journal costs. I'll show you where they go.
Yeah.
They go into the final profit. So our final profit changed a couple updates ago with this stuff here. So we've got a journal cost thing here, which will list out all of the costs that you put in. And you'll see that this got a lot bigger up here. We have our product cost, our labor cost, inventory cost, journal cost.
Journal cost. Yeah.
Right. So they become part of that. If it's commissionable, if the journal cost is commissionable, then you're going to see. Then you'll see it also on the in the cost on the commissions. Okay. It'll be included in these.
Like per diem. That way they can
have it in slots for.
Yeah. I mean, we could see how they're set up.
But it's a way to do costs that aren't related to a purchase order.
Right.
Okay. So they're just, and you can either send it to QuickBooks or not. But it's a way to put those costs in, and you can do it against projects or orders or whatever you want to do. Okay. So, but they show up on every final profit and loss. And like I said, what we did in the profit and loss is we made this little, see our net profit or gross profit margin right here, okay? And then it pulls out commissions, and then it's net after that. Then our employee cost is if you guys have costs against people, this is really your overhead expense. People doing stuff in eManage now accumulates cost. So your employee cost, and then your final profit is minus all of those things. Okay, any other questions?
I just wanted to add in the journal costs. They can be used on multiple levels, and we were thinking of as far as OFIX and the CDB being there, but also any other cost. It was originally, one of the original thoughts on it were additional credit card costs, lunches,
cash,
if you're
petty cash.
If your guy's damaged something and you need to pay it out, but it's not necessarily a purchase order, but you want to cost it on the job, anything that has to be costed on the job. And then in the middle, you'll see the QuickBooks accounts. So if you want it sent to QuickBooks, if it's a credit card charge and you want it sent over to your credit card charges, you have the option of doing that. So you have the option of putting it on a job. You also have the option of having it go over into QuickBooks for you as well.
As a journal entry. So instead of going over to QuickBooks and doing journal entry and then adding the cost in here, you're doing both at the same time. But you don't have to have a QuickBooks, you don't have to send it to QuickBooks to put it on the eManage job. Okay, any other questions? Keith, are you still on there?
Yes, we're still here.
Okay, so you guys, what I will talk to you probably tomorrow or Monday. I'll give you guys a call and we'll talk about that 8%. Okay. We'll figure out something for you guys.
Great. Thank you very much, Phil. Appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Phil?
Yep.
Everyone's going to give me a call also to finalize setting it up, all the
human resources, payroll.
Payroll.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if she's had a chance.
Yeah, she's here in this meeting, so she'll probably give a call after that. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Not for now. I'm sure we'll have more coming.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and I'll give it a minute more if anyone wants to chime in with any questions, and then I'll stop the recording and the meeting. Okay, I'll be uploading this, and I'll get you guys all a link to the video so you can refer back to it, and have a great day.
Thanks, Philip. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
Bye.
Bye-bye.